Alrighty, guys. Welcome to our NBA free pick video here today for Tuesday, March 7th, 2023. And as always, our quick pick recap is located at the end of the video. Real quick, I just want to say thank you for your patience in understanding in advance. I apologize about the late upload here today, as we're dealing with a death in the family. My wife's grandmother passed away late last night, so we've been handling that last night way until early this morning. She lost her battle with pancreatic cancer, so it's a bit of a bittersweet day because, obviously, we're glad she's not in pain anymore. It was pretty bad there toward the end, but we are going to miss her for sure. This was somebody we were very close with. She lived with my mother-in-law, so it's somebody that we saw multiple times a week, and she vacationed with us. So, it's definitely a tough one. This one hurts. So once again, appreciate your guys' patience. Apologize about the late upload, but thanks for bearing with me. And with that, I think Bonnie would want the show to go on. So we're going to break down some games here today, and we're going to start off with the Bucks taking on the Magic. That's going to be a 7 o'clock Eastern start time. Milwaukee's the 7.5-point favorite. Totals 233.5. And even though the Bucks are rightfully favored in this spot here, they've certainly had their issues grabbing rebounds on the road. As a matter of fact, the Bucks are in the bottom 5 in the NBA in defensive boards while traveling. When it comes to offensive production, well, the Bucks are in the bottom 3 in the NBA in shooting from the field on the road. The Bucks, they're dominant. They do look like the best team in the NBA, but there are some holes there. There are some problematic areas. And one more thing, Milwaukee's dead last in the NBA in shooting from the stripe in their travels as well. So there are some problem areas. They're taking on a Magic team who's one of the better defensive rebounding teams in the Eastern Conference. As a matter of fact, these guys are in the top 5 in home defensive boards per game. Paolo Banchero is snagging nearly 7 rebounds a night, and he also currently leads the team in points. Now, Franz Wagner, he's second on the team in scoring, and he does a nice job shooting from three-land. Now, injury-wise, Harris and Carter are questionable for the Magic. Schofield's out. Meanwhile, for the Bucks, Holiday and Giannis are questionable. Dragic and Matthews are scratched. Now, total-wise, Milwaukee's 23-8 to the under in their travels. They also saw 6 out of their last 10 meetings with Orlando stay under the total. Meanwhile, the Magic, they went 4-1 to the under in their last 5 at the Amway Center. Give me Orlando plus 7.5, under 233 and a hook. Next game, Wizards, Pistons, 7 o'clock Eastern start time. Washington's -8, totals 224.5. Now, this does feel like a pretty generous number for Washington. They're 8-2 in their last 10 against the Pistons. They're also one of the best field goal shooting teams on the road in the league. Washington's in the top 5 in offensive field goal percentage while traveling. Bradley Beal makes 50% of his attempts from the field. He also leads the club in points. Kristaps Porzingis, he also scores 22 points a game and averages over 8.5 rebounds. Now, they're facing a Pistons team who has the worst record in the NBA right now, and they allow just about 120 points a game at home. Now, they're also letting their opponents knock down nearly 50% of their field goals against them. When it comes to the injury report, Bogey, Magruder, Diallo, Stewart, Hayes, and Duren, they're all questionable for Detroit. Meanwhile, for Washington, Kuzma and Morris are day-to-day. Now, total-wise, the Wizards are 21-13 to the under in their travels. They also held Detroit to just 106 points per contest in their last 10 head-to-head meetings. So if you're into historical trends, certainly want to think about that one there. As far as Detroit's concerned, on the other side, they saw 7 out of those 10 contests I just mentioned against the Wizards stay under the total. So once again, plenty of unders to go around if you're into historical trends. Give me Washington -8, under 224.5. Next game, Hornets, Knicks, 7:30 p.m. East. New York's -10, totals 226. And even though they are laying double digits at home, the Knicks actually play their best basketball on the road. when it comes to these home games, sorry guys, I'm obviously a little bit foggy here today. But in these home games, New York has one of the lowest offensive field goal percentages on their home court in the East. They're taking on a Charlotte team on the other side who covered in 5 out of their last 8. Covers against the likes of Miami, Minnesota, and Atlanta. And in their last 10 meetings with New York, the Hornets held the Knicks to just 108 points a game. Now, Kelly Oubre leads the club in steals per game and also averages 4 defensive boards per contest. Now, Oubre is also scoring 20 points a night on the offensive end of the court. When it comes to scoring, Terry Rozier's averaging 21 points a game. Now, injury-wise, Cody Martin's been scratched for the Hornets. Meanwhile, for the Knicks, Jalen Brunson's questionable for them. When it comes to the total, the Hornets saw overs in 20 of their road games this year. 20 overs on the road this season. Meanwhile, the Knicks saw 4 out of their last 5 at Madison Square Garden get over the total themselves. Give me Charlotte plus 10, over 226. Next game, Sixers, T-Wolves, 7:30 p.m. East. Minnesota's -2, totals 229.5. And even though the T-Wolves are favored, they've struggled with Eastern Conference opponents this year. They're just 9-2 against teams from the West. Did I say Eastern Conference? Yeah. They're just 9-12 against teams from the East. And in their last 10 meetings with the Sixers, Minnesota's gotten the W only 2 times. Now, the T-Wolves are one of the worst rebounding teams in the Western Conference. They're currently in the bottom 10 in the NBA in both offensive and defensive boards. Now, they're taking on a Sixer team who won 7 out of their last 10 themselves. They play some exceptional defense. Philly's currently in the top 3 in defensive points per game. They're also in the top 3 in defensive boards on the road. Joel Embiid's grabbing double-digit rebounds a night. He also leads the team in scoring. Now, Joe's 33.2 points a game ranks second in the NBA right now. Meanwhile, James Harden's drilling over 40% of his three-pointers. He also ranks second on the team in points. Now, injury-wise, Tucker and Harris are still banged up for Philly. Keep an eye on their status. Meanwhile, for Minnesota, Rivers is questionable. Noel is out. When it comes to the total, Minnesota saw overs against the likes of Sacramento, Dallas, and Memphis. Meanwhile, Philly's gone 8-3 to the over in their last 11 road games against the West. Give me Philadelphia plus 2, over 229.5. Next game, Nets, Rockets, 8 o'clock Eastern start time. Brooklyn's -5.5, totals 231. And as much star power as Brooklyn's lost this year, these guys still just don't miss shots. The Nets currently have the highest offensive field goal percentage on the road in the NBA. Nick Claxton makes nearly 71% of his attempts from the field. He's actually leading the NBA in that category. Meanwhile, Mikal Bridges, he's scoring over 26 points a game with his new team. And he drills 50% of his three-pointers with the Nets as well. Now they're facing a last-place Rockets team on the other side, who's currently got the worst record in the Western Conference. And no real surprise here, guys. Houston's currently the worst three-point shooting team in the game. Now, when it comes to the injury report, both teams are relatively healthy at the moment, for the exception of Bum Simmons for Brooklyn. When it comes to the total, Brooklyn went 60% to the under in their last 10. Now, the Nets also saw 7 out of their last 11 road games against Western Conference opponents stay under. Now, Houston, on the other side, they saw unders recently against the likes of Memphis, Golden State, and Oklahoma City. Give me Brooklyn -5.5, under 231. Next ball game I have for you, it is going to be Warriors at the Thunder, 8 o'clock Eastern start time. Golden State's the 5-point favorite on the road, totals 242.5. But for a team laying a couple of buckets in this spot here, Golden State's been pretty awful while traveling. Out of 31 ball games away from the Bay, Golden State got the W only 7 times. And no real surprise here, guys. The Warriors are allowing more points per contest on the road than any other team in the NBA except for one. Now they're facing an Oklahoma City team on the other side who's one of the best scoring teams in the NBA right now. As a matter of fact, OKC's in the top 3 in points per game. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, he averages a team best 31 points a night. He also makes over 90% of his free throws. Meanwhile, Josh Giddey's second on the team in scoring. He averages just about 8 rebounds per contest. Now, injury-wise, Jalen Williams is questionable for the Thunder. Meanwhile, for Golden State, Iguodala and Green are questionable. Wiggins, Rollins, and Payton are out. Now, total-wise, Golden State's 23-8 to the over in their road trips this season. Meanwhile, Oklahoma City's gone 22-12 to the over in the Paycom Center. Give me Oklahoma City +5 over 242.5. Next contest, Jazz at the Mavs are... I don't know what I tried to say there. Jazz at the Mavs, 8:30 p.m. East. Dallas is -10, totals 236.5. And even though the Mavs are favored by double digits in this spot here, they are the worst covering team in the NBA. They're just 11-23 against the spread in their own building. They're also covering in just 35% of their ball games at any location for the entire season. Now they're facing a Jazz team on the other side of things who's really played some tough defense against Dallas in recent meetings. And this is another one of those instances, where we're going to pull from historical trends. Out of their last 10 ball games against the Mavs, Utah's actually held Dallas to just 106 points a game. When it comes to offensive production, Utah's in the top 5 in the league in road scoring. Lauri Markkanen averages a team-best 26 points per contest. He's also drilling nearly 41% of his three-pointers. The old Jordan Clarkson scores over 20.5 points per contest himself. When it comes to the injury report, Colin Sexton's still inactive for Utah. Maxi Kleber's questionable for Dallas. When it comes to the total, 5 out of Dallas's last 6 in the American Airlines Center did get over the number. Meanwhile, Utah went 4-2 to the over in their last 6 on the road. Give me Utah +10 over 236.5. And with that, guys, we're going to jump into our next and final breakdown for the video. It is going to be Grizzlies at the Lakers, 10 o'clock Eastern Star Time. The LA Lakers are -1.5, totals 226. The Lakers got the W in 6 out of their last 9, and they covered in most of those games. They covered in about 6 of those games. And when it comes to offensive production, the Lakers are scoring just about 118 points a game at home. They're also in the top 5 in the league in offensive boards. Anthony Davis averages nearly 13 rebounds a night. He's also leading the active roster here today in points per game. Meanwhile, Lonnie Walker scoring over a dozen points per contest himself. Now, LA's facing a Memphis squad who's pretty depleted roster-wise, and they really don't play great on the road. Out of 32 contests away from Memphis, the Grizzlies got the W only 12 times. When it comes to rebounding the basketball, the Grizzlies are amongst the worst rebounding teams in the West on both ends of the court. Now, injury-wise, Adams is still out. LaRavia is questionable. And, of course, newfound gangster Ja Morant, he's still inactive. NBA pretty much told him to sit down, go away, don't be seen, don't be heard. What a knucklehead. This is like the guy who Eminem was battling in 8 Mile, the guy who went to private school. Like, dude, come on, man. Like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Anyway, for the Lakers on the other side, Mo Bamba's out. D'Angelo Russell's day-to-day. When it comes to the total, the Lakers saw overs recently against the likes of Oklahoma City and Portland. Meanwhile, the Grizzlies saw overs against the likes of the Clippers, Celtics, and Timberwolves. Give me the Lakers -1.5 over 226. And with that, guys, we're going to jump into our quick pick recap. Give me Orlando +7.5, under 233 and a hook. Washington -8, under 224.5. Charlotte Hornets +10, over 226. Philadelphia 76ers +2, over 229.5. Brooklyn Nets -5.5, under 231. Oklahoma City +5, over Oklahoma City +5, over 242.5. Utah Jazz +10, over 236.5. With my next and final free pick, give me the Lakers -1.5, over 226.